This is the Design Review Board regular meeting, Monday, April 20th, 2015. Let's see, we have 5 here, so John, we'll appoint John as an alternate for Anka. And Ron Perry is absent. All right, discussion and possible action. Number 1, application number 1508 of David Richmond, agent, HOP 760 LLC owner, for a unified sign plan on the property located at 760 Hot Meadow Street, Assessor's Map G10, Block 205, Lot 003-4, Zones SC1 and SC2. Received April 6th. Decision must be rendered by June 10th.
I'm David Richmond. Purchased the property right across the street last June, and it was empty for 7 months. And we started filling up the space with smaller businesses, and decided that since there was never a uniform sign plan, there used to only be one tenant in the building. Prior to us occupying the building with different tenants, there was the Simsbury Bank's corporate office. Prior to the Simsbury Bank, there was a company named Landmark Partners, which is relocated over behind Millwrights now. So there's always been, prior to 1993, it was multi-tenanted, but after that, it was a single-tenant building. So in order to, and this is primarily for the tenants, they all wanted sign exposure. So, working with the town staff, we've come up with a plan to accommodate the tenants and put in what we would call, and I actually brought something better. The idea is to create a freestanding sign on the entrance, and I'll go over the map. When you drive in, there's only a one-way in. There's a parcel of grass, and that would be a perfect place for a sign. The prior tenant had it on like a lampshade post right in where all the landscaping was, which you could never see. So this would be to identify the building, and it's known as the Landmark Building, which is important that it's on there, 760 Hot Meadow Street. And this would be on the parcel south of the entrance. Kind of, you think about Vincent's Sports Shop, there's an entrance that gets into our parking, and it would be right to the right of the entrance. There's a sign in the ground now that identifies just 760, no Hot Meadow Street, nothing other than that. So this would be, and I think you have drawings and you have pictures. Chris Aubin could not be here, he's traveling, he's from Signs Plus, East Granby. Very, very familiar with the town, done a lot of work, and he's very familiar. We're considering, white. I think you have description of the what he's come up with, and we want everything to be uniform on this sign, except for in the left corner, we have a doctor that moved in, and she's just, her logo is very important to her, so she's asked for a little bit larger space because she does rent half the first floor, and she would like her logo on this sign to be on. And other than that, I know there's been, and I have the comments from the town about, other tenants moving in, moving out. Right now, we're pretty much at capacity in the building. We did lose a tenant since this sign was put up. I don't see us adding any more blocks. If someone moves, of course, we would change the name with the new tenant. So that's this sign. We also In the rear of the building, and you also have this, we put in a hair salon. And the hair salon is Ashmore Hair Salon, and she does not have any identification for her facility, and I want to just hand this up. She doesn't have anything to identify her. So we proposed again, Signs Plus, right to the left of her entrance that would be actually on the building. So it would identify her, and that way her tenants, not her tenants, her customers can find her, her clients.
And that's in the back of the building?
Yeah, it's in the rear. It won't be seen by anybody until you walk up to the back and you'll see it as an identifier. Additionally, and I'll hand these out, but I have to have them back for zoning. It's important that you know that, oh, you have them, okay. In the front of the building, for some reason, there's several indentations in the brickwork. And so again, one of the tenants came to us, the doctor, and said, do you think for identifying me, for moving into town, I could have a sign on the building? And we said, as long as it can get approved, we have no issue with that sign on the building. It would be, again, constructed by Signs Plus. It would fit inside the opening there that we measured. It's 38 inches long by 18 inches high, and the sign would be a 1/4 inch thick, and it would almost fit right in. And we're looking to just put in 2. And one of the things that I'm not going to do is she would ask that we use her actual logo that she spent lots of money on. So that would be the sign on the building. One of the things we aren't going to do is the other sign. Right now, we don't have anybody who wants that space, but it will not be green. It will be the same white background. I did realize he had made that green. So the sign on Hot Meadow will just be a freestanding sign with grass, not really plantings or anything of that nature. It's really to identify tenants and identify the building. The other thing in the write-up that you all received, I just want to point out a couple of things in Rachel Black's on page 1. On the front door of the building, it's not painted, it's actual metal letters that are gold. And so if we chose to take them off, we could. Because it's such an expensive door, we're not sure if we take them off, if we create more work for ourselves than it's worth. So for now, we leave them up. I think over time, we will remove them. The other thing is on page 3, in the 1, 2, 3, 4th down, it says the approved site plan identifies the driveway as a one-way entrance drive only. We're not sure how it became one-way. Most of the people do use it as one-way in. There is some exiting traffic, but it's not a two-way. And I think that was done as an accommodation so people weren't exiting and making a left-hand turn between 4 and 6 o'clock, which is almost impossible to do there. It's very much lots of traffic. The other is...
There's no one-way sign on that?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
And then on the, they wanted to know how the signs would be put on the brick. And Chris has said there's an adhesive that he would use, really kind of, he sticks it on there, and actually kind of looking at that as just to look at it. If you look at that, Chris has some adhesive that just sticks right on, and it's pretty good. And then if he has to take it off, he can. So it's not something we want to drill into the brickwork. And then the other is, we can't tell the future on page 4. If we did get another tenant, we're not sure if they would want their logo. And again, the only logo that right now we are considering is on that front of the building, where there's actually only one sign on the south side, because that would look nice as far as the symmetry. So we're not looking at anyone else, adding their logos. It's really not in our interest. So with the town staff and working with the office, we did a lot of work and they did a lot of work. One of the things we had to be concerned about on this handout that you have, if you don't, I can furnish you one. It really shows you where this, the large freestanding sign will be placed, because there is state property, so it's actually a little further back. It will not be illuminated. And again, it's really an identifier of the building. So with that, we've kept with the theme of green. It doesn't really matter to us if you guys say, well, have you considered burgundy? I don't want to do 2 colors. I like, in our other buildings, we've always used green. One of the things that is important to me is that we don't make it look like a rainbow along this road. And so if you said, oh, would you do burgundy? We'll do whatever color you guys, recommend, or if you like this color, which I happen to like. I think there's 3 colors that they want us to use from the recommendations, and this is the one we chose. So again, just to summarize, we're looking to install a new freestanding sign in the grass area that's located on the entrance, on the south of the entrance, affix 2 permanent signs to the front of the building, white backgrounds with this logo and lettering from the one doctor, and then in the rear, to identify Ashmore Hair Designs affixed to the building just as an identifier for her business, which is new in town.
Comment?
You have something?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Richmond, I want to use the word sensitive when we talk about signage on this building and the whole neighborhood. Reference the guidelines and the guidelines relative to the center section zoning. I want to start with your large sign. My feeling is this about the large sign, is when you put up a sign that does any more than identify the number and the name of the building, as you have here with individual signs, individual tenants, by that time, it seems to me that your lettering is down around 2.5 inches high. That's a guess, but it's in that neighborhood. And when you're approaching the building and you're looking for the sign and the building number on the street number, you don't really have a whole lot of time to look at the rest of the sign. And the rest of the sign, I think, will be somewhat difficult to see and maybe hazardous on Hot Meadow Street. So I want to offer a suggestion, perhaps even a solution, because I was also troubled by looking at your original photographs here, but how we should deal with that signage in terms of the rest of the architecture of the building. And here's a suggestion that you might want to consider, is on the street where you have located your sign, you limit that sign to the street number and the name of the building. As large as you would like it so that people can see it. And then to deal with this problem of all the tenants and the two on the building, we use the balcony over the front door for the whole works.
What was there with the other tenants on the front of the building? Anything?
Yeah,
Nothing.
this, right here. There's a little pole with a, a post.
But nothing on the building?
Nothing.
That's the way it ought to be.
I'm uncomfortable with the signs on the building as you present them.
Again, the tenants, it's
I understand
important
that.
to the tenants. They have to run their businesses and they believe that signage is important to draw customers. I understand what you said about that. I still need an identifier,
I hear you.
and I don't think putting it in the middle is gonna do anything.
Well,
It's gonna be the same thing you just said, no one's gonna see the names. They're gonna drive by.
when you talk about, the tenants are the tenants and
Right.
they're your customers, and I certainly appreciate that. On the other hand, we have significant guidelines, and I'm not comfortable with what you're proposing meets those guidelines. Now, I don't want to go into word for word, and what I was thinking to do here is perhaps offer a suggestion that solves some of the problems in the guidelines, and in my judgment, looks better.
Comments? I guess my perspective on this is probably 180 degrees from John's. I think your sign on the ground, the mounted sign with all the names, if I'm going to your business, I'm first looking for the number, and then I'm looking at the smaller sign as I get there to confirm I'm in the right place and I found the right guy. So I think that sign's important. I think it serves a purpose. The signs on the building, on the other hand, I think are really in conflict with the concept of unified signage, because you don't have a sign on the building for everyone. And if we're going to be concerned about the historic character of this building, any signs on that building, to me, take away from it dramatically. And the idea of putting anything over the metal thing in the middle, the balcony, would be, really to obscure an important component of that building. So I'm not at all comfortable with the idea of these signs being on the front of the building.
What about the rear of the
Regardless of what the tenant wants.
Right,
The
how about
tenant's
the
getting
rear?
a sign.
What does the rear look
The
like?
rear one's a different
Yeah,
story.
that's just a,
Right.
plaque. How he drew it.
Yeah.
It's just a plaque.
That's hidden in the
that goes
back.
right
Oh, yeah,
next to
no,
the door.
I'm not
And
concerned about that.
The rear one, I think, is
Yeah.
perfectly okay
I think
because
that's fine.
it's obscured from the road and there needs to be something back.
Is there only one entrance into the building?
There's two.
There's one in the back and one in the
There's two.
front?
Actually, there's three. There's two in the rear, just for the tenants, not for the customers. Customers enter from the front. So those are actually, yeah, there's two in the rear, and then there's the entrance to the hair salon.
Well, I would agree that I don't think you want anything to destroy the looks of the building. So any signage, whether it's in the middle or on the sign on the building, does damage to the building. Is there any way, and I can't think of how much room do you have from the building to the sidewalk? Much? You can't get a very low sign in the front,
What do you mean?
away from the building, in those are those rhododendrons
Yeah,
or?
that's pretty full. You're not gonna find too much room in there. That's pretty full.
Full?
Yeah.
Because
Some
the
lights
sign,
in there.
if you go on the sign on the side,
Yes.
you're gonna go whizzing by that sign before you
The
know.
sign will be unfortunately right
Yeah,
here. And I mean, we haven't had that many problems so far with the people that are there.
So they know-
Primarily, this is driven by the tenants, one tenant primarily. The other thing was, there was right here, you could see, it's hard to see because it's a white post that Simsbury Bank had hung their sign on.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was an identifier because everybody knew the building and knew it was Simsbury Bank's corporate office. The buildings, you know, these signs on the building were driven by a tenant, this tenant,
Yeah.
not by the landlord.
Okay.
So,
We're not throwing anything at you.
I appreciate your comments and I absolutely understand.
Got a couple
What
more
you're
comments. Yep.
Hiram, does this in any way come under the purview of the Historic District Commission?
It doesn't, because this is not a local historic
Oh,
district.
because those signs on the front of the building are so contrary to the aspect of the look and that historic marker plate that's down on the corner of the building. I have no qualms about the stanchion sign, but I think those signs actually deface the building.
Yeah, it is a plaque building, it's a National Register building, it's not a local historic district.
So, if we were to submit the application and remove these two signs on the front of the building, let's assume we do that.
But that would be my motion if I were to make it.
Yes, and
And
I think that,
we
that
go-
motion would probably pass.
so,
But I feel bad for your tenant, I wish there was some way to
Well,
get them some more,
the only thing I
visibility, but
can
I
She's
just don't
getting the
know
sign
how.
on, she's getting
Let
tourist
me ask a
space on
question.
she's standing.
That's true.
You
do,
know?
in here, in the rhododendrons, is a post, you know, the regular post with the sign, you know, you just hang the sign on it. It's still there, I don't think I took it out. Could we, for her, put her identity, which is very important to her, could she have a little hanging sign right there, which is
Just
actually in
like
front of her
perpendicular to the
office?
building?
We'll just go like this, you know,
Yeah.
go east-west, just a plaque, east-west,
It doesn't bother
It's a
me so
separate
much.
application.
right here.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, it
I
would
mean,
look
we
like
could
this,
sit it.
actually.
Yeah, yeah, I
That
think
would be it.
I wouldn't approve that.
So it would be
No, 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 but I
there.
think it makes,
Yeah,
that
but
location
she's-
is not an issue to me.
And she's
So
not
that-
satisfied with this sign on the side of it? Well, there's always Avon.
So it's like, it hangs perpendicular to the building then, right?
Correct.
Could you put multiple ones on the same thing, or
Well,
just
that's where
one?
we originally, we had started with that, but we were not, that was something that unfortunately we misinterpreted, so we removed that.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's really not a great place for a sign, you want to talk about whizzing by. And it's
Yeah.
hard, there's no identifier, once the leaves on these trees, you can't really see that sign.
But for her, people walking in the front door will see her nice little logo.
It's really an image thing for her, and maybe it's an ego thing, and the fact that she moved here from Terriffill and she wants to be identified as, you know, her office is, I mean, it's the most beautiful office in the building, I mean, beautiful. So that's why she wanted the identifier in front for her patients
Yeah.
and herself. However, I'm definitely open for,
Yeah, it's understandable, but unfortunately, the
Suggestions.
building's just so nice looking, I'd hate to put anything on it. I
Suggest-
mean, unless it was
So
a
you
little
have the
plaque or
owners-
something else, I don't know what else
Nah.
you could give her. How about a plaque?
Let me make another suggestion
No.
for you to consider. Since there is a location in there that would be appropriate, we'd have to check it out and you'd have to give us, you know, the appropriate drawings and so forth. But if you did the whole list at the front entry, including a logo, all right? Then it satisfies all of the concerns that we have here. That your identification of your location is by itself, and that location as proposed, okay, and an appropriate sign, a post, I think, a post, you know, and all the other information is here at the front entry for all.
You're not suggesting attach anything to the building, you mean a
No.
a standing
We're talking
sign?
We're talking about the information that is on the street sign, if you will, be on a street sign, on another sign here, smaller.
Oh, right in where the old Simsbury, oh, that's a great idea, John.
Right where the rhododendrons are.
There's already a post there, but it would
Well-
be just a smaller, again, it would be,
But you couldn't fit every tenant on
no,
there.
all I really want is her on there.
Yeah.
I don't
You can't
need
fit
her, I
everybody
could put the
there.
number
That's what
and
he's
her.
saying.
Let's put it this way, if you're gonna park your car and walk down the sidewalk and walk in the entrance, you don't have to have very large letters,
Right,
all right?
that would be just for her
And if you get
office.
complaints from your tenants that this is the way it's going to be, because this is the only way I can get it approved,
Right,
then
that's correct. I just don't want you
everybody's
going
happy,
to the
but maybe the
staff.
Wait,
tenants.
here's another couple of comments, right? You have something else? Did you want to say something else?
In response to John's, I guess we'd have to see it. You know, would it be too tall
yeah.
because you've got the roadies? We'd have to see some
Can
alternate.
we-
So we're
I
not
guess-
gonna.
I guess
Can we
We're not
check,
gonna
can we
speculate
do
on it.
this? Can we go forward and say we're not approving the 2 plaques on the front of the building?
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll, under consideration, John's point of the, whatever we call that, the old post, but to move forward with the freestanding sign and the rear sign for the hair salon, so we can get moving on that, because the grounds now, we're able to, and then we'll come back after we meet with the town staff again and see, and we can actually look at it. I don't think I would actually want to do that. And I could just, I don't want to ruin the front of the building.
Yeah.
If I could leave it alone, I will. Maybe I make this even larger for her, and maybe I just take the top and put her business along the front of the sign and make these smaller, because to be
And
frank,
that sign being on the side.
people don't come and look for signs to do. Is it an ad? That's what she believes it is. I
Yep.
should say the tenant. So if I could do that, maybe I'll shrink this a little bit and then have all
Put
the
her all
other
the way across
plaques.
the top,
And then I'll at least, be able
right?
to
Like one big one here for her.
accommodate, meet my tenant's needs. And then if that doesn't work, maybe in a year from now, you can come back and say, okay, look, can we try the thing on the front post? But that's really not something we would
Do
like to
all your tenants, are they all clamoring for a sign?
No.
Just the health, whatever it is?
Right, you're not a patient of hers, are you? Because I don't want this to be on record. I'm not gonna let her have a sign on the building.
Well, even the side sign, where you have listed those, besides naming the building and the address, why not just have her sustainable health and welfare, and that's it?
Because most tenants want to see their name.
Oh, so they do.
And actually, we've lost Deborah Green. She moved out, so we actually have rented her office to R5 Capital. So I do have more room now. And what I think might work out very well is to just take sustainable health and wellness, carry it across the front, and then have all the others equal size right below it, and that works well.
I think
Yep.
we're good with that.
Done.
I think we're good with that.
And that's on the side, plus the sign in the back door for the
That's
hairdresser.
just for the hairdresser, you'll never see it.
I think we could make a motion to approve,
May I make a motion?
absolutely.
Because it's been a while, not, a little rusty.
Okay.
Can we make a motion to approve and deny, or are we recommending,
Changes.
How does that work?
recommending to zoning that they accept this?
You're making a recommendation. I think what you're saying, John, is making a recommendation for the approval of the freestanding sign
Right.
as modified by the discussion this evening with the applicant, but specifically not recommending approval for any signs on the building
Except the back door.
except the back door.
So,
And,
Right.
yeah,
all right, so I'm gonna make a motion on application number 15-08 of David Richmond, agent, HOP 760 LLC owner for a unified sign plan on the property located at 760 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors map B10, block 205, lot 003. That we recommend approval of the freestanding sign as modified in the discussions with the applicant. But we recommend that there be no signs mounted on the building except for the small sign on the back of the building for the hairdressing salon.
Second.
Yep.
Great, all in favor?
just want to,
Oh,
just a
sorry.
couple things. I just want to make sure that, and the reason for this obviously is the discussion with the board had with regard to the historical character of the building.
Right.
Design, so on. The only other question I had, perhaps for the applicant, there's the freestanding sign here is shown in one drawing as perpendicular to Hot Meadow, and one other drawing is parallel to Hot Meadow.
This
Really
would
clarify.
be perpendicular.
Whichever you say, I just want to be clear.
So it's seen both ways.
So it's double,
So-
it's double faced.
Double-sided.
It's double faced.
side.
Perpendicular to the building.
Well, we
road.
can-
No,
let's
it's
talk
perpendicular
about
to the
that.
road.
Perpendicular to the road.
To the road, huh?
Yeah, perpendicular, you want
For the
that.
road, right. So could we interject in my motion that due to the historic character of the building and a desire not to diminish it, we recommend not approving any, whatever I said about signs on the building,
Except the back door.
except for the back door. I was just interjecting that into the motion.
So now I'm gonna, go to a different subject.
We have to vote.
I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, hold on, all in favor?
You need a second, and then a little discussion.
Discussion?
He's second, right?
And now I want some more discussion, if you don't mind, because I want to make sure that whatever changes are made to what you have presented, and as a result of our discussion, be submitted to staff for your approval, or you have to come back, one or the other.
So to clarify, I'm
That's a
gonna have this
friendly amendment?
redrawn with her across
Yep.
underneath. That's the change that we'll submit to Hiram.
And that colors, that's
Same color,
colors.
same everything. All we're doing is changing the layout. And hopefully the tenant will be okay with that.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
You can submit it to Hiram, we can do it
That's great.
administratively, just the
That's a good
approval.
addition, John.
All right, this is a sample of the sign material.
That's the
And-
wood frame, not the sign. It's
Pardon?
the frame, the wood
Yeah.
frame,
And-
yeah.
Is the rest of that sign, as far as the structure is concerned, satisfactory? And the other question is, will there be any landscaping at the base of that sign?
No.
What is the sign standing on?
There's two posts right into the ground.
Yeah, they just go right in.
Is that grass?
Yes,
right
it's
now?
grass.
And will it be
Grass.
lighted?
Yeah.
No, he said
All
no.
right. Normally, we recommend some form of landscaping at the base of a freestanding. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it has to be sustainable as you read in the guidelines. We would, if you agree, we would include in this motion appropriate landscaping at the base of that sign.
Subject to staff review. Also, we're not gonna ask him to come back and show us the
No,
landscape.
we're not. He can submit it,
Some,
he can submit it to Hiram.
I understand where you're going, John. I have no trouble with just lawn down there. We got enough flowers around signs
that's a,
on this
I mean,
town.
there's a lot of flowering bushes on the property.
That whole front is just beautiful.
I mean, mean, if we were gonna do anything, we could do boxwoods, low, they don't need to be trimmed. I'll let my, I'll ask my landscaper what the, I mean, without getting into too much, you know, after this winter, a lot of landscaping that we've put in got all, you know, gets ruined. It's kind of,
I'm not opposed to the grass unless
the
it's
grass
some
looks nice.
absolute requirement that you have to put landscaping in, isn't it?
It isn't, it's not an absolute
It's a,
requirement.
just a,
Yeah.
Here's my problem.
I don't think we
I'm
need to go
okay.
through all this
Ladies and
trouble to
gentlemen,
add
if I may.
landscaping.
Our guidelines call for certain things. We are now talking about a historic building in a historic neighborhood on the main street of our town. So forgive me, I want to make sure that we understand exactly what's going on. Notice that in all the photographs we have, there is no photograph or rendering of this sign in its location as it meets the rest of the neighborhood. Now, I don't want to be hard about it, but I think it's important that in this case, that we see exactly what's going to happen and approve it or disapprove it. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but that is my position.
And that's okay, you can have that, we all have our opinions. I personally think there's tons of landscaping, you can look at the site plan, there's all kinds of plantings. I'm pretty comfortable looking at the landscaping, how it's gonna look. So, I think we could, I mean, what do we, take a vote on it? Or how does that work, Hiram? 'Cause I don't think we need to, you know, I think we can approve
put
the
it
sign
this
per
way.
the motion.
I've got a motion on the table.
Yep.
I would say that the portion of the comments by John asking that he submit the revised design of the freestanding sign to staff for review is a friendly amendment. I guess I'm not willing to accept the landscaping part as a friendly amendment, so we either vote it yes or no. If you want him to have bushes, then you got to vote the motion down. If you're okay with it being grass, you vote for the motion.
I'm fine with that.
He's-
Are you fine with
he's-
that? Everybody fine voting on that?
He's putting it in an area that's already landscaped. I mean,
Right.
it's not-
Okay?
All right. So we will, so your motion is on the table.
And then we can vote it down and
Anybody
do it again if
second?
you want.
Was it second?
It was
I
second.
Still
did.
second?
I second it.
All right, so all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Any opposed? So therefore, it
Okay.
passed under those conditions.
Thank you.
You're
I
good.
do want you to know, though, something else, because I don't think a lot of times you guys ever hear back from us on projects we've done. You never hear the good, you always usually hear the bad. So, a year ago, we came in with a ramp for our other building, 730 Hot Meadow. And there was all different discussions, and it was gonna go straight up from Hot Meadow, and then from the rear, straight up, from the rear parking lot heading west, and then turn. And we hired someone from town, and I think we had come with you guys, and we put a design in where it kind of zigged and it zagged and it came back up, utilizing the side space that we had. And we're about to put the trees in, because the ground's finally soft enough to dig, and we're gonna put those front trees in, and unless you know the building, you won't even know the ramp's there. I just want you to know how many compliments I have received on that ramp. From Pete saying that they think that's the most beautiful ramp they've ever seen.
Okay, what?
So
I was like, go that
so I
far.
just want you to know that that was because of your feedback on that initial plan, so.
Thank you.
that is-
Thanks, you clearly worked very hard on this, so thanks. All right, Hiram, correspondence and announcements, anything from you?
I really don't have a lot. I can tell you that the, I'm not sure what the right term is. It's good. It's a, the Board of Selectmen has approved a group of folks to work on the community center / senior center down at the Performing Arts Center. Design Review Board Chairman is on that committee. They'll be accepting input. I'm sure very shortly there'll be discussions with whoever the selected architect is for that particular process. One other thing that's a little different, that's kind of interesting in this situation, is that the town is also looking for a firm that will do the kind of a programming study of just how, Jennifer, you probably know an awful lot more about it than I, but in terms of how the structure will operate, how it will function, the amount of square footage that you need on a particular daily basis for various things. And they're looking very hard for a firm to do that as a separate entity, separate project, aside from the actual architecture of the design itself, center itself. So I'm not sure how many firms do that, but I know that right now, town engineer is looking for firms that would do the programming part of that, to get started on with that. So they didn't want the firm, the architectural firm, to drive the size of the building. So they wanted the program to sort of take place first. Kind of like the accountant fiduciary responsibility thing. I don't know how that all works, but anyway, that's what the intent is so far. Meetings will be coming up in the near future, and I'm sure that everybody will be informed of them.
Where are they currently, the senior center?
In Eno Hall.
So when they vacate, do you have plans for?
Good question. That has come up a number of times, and I'm uncertain exactly how that's going to work. I don't know if the total activities are going to move down to the Performing Arts Center. I think that's the intent right now, as far as I know. I'm not sure just how much, if anything, is going to be left, and then what's going to happen with that space is a question that was asked at a public meeting. And I'm not sure until that thing is actually designed and landed and approved down there that all those decisions have been made. So, there are a number of other things that are going on at the same time. The town is looking carefully at some of the potential environmental constraints of the site, wetlands, floodplain, floodplain elevations, and so on. We're looking at that as well. So all this hopefully will come together in the very near future. So we're trying to cooperate and coordinate with everything. So any site is a compromise. There's no question about that. No site is perfect. I think that lots of people have concerns about various things at all the different sites that we looked at. So we'll see what happens and how this comes together. It's basically the biggest thing. We'll see what happens with, as you know, the former Webster Bank building that was approved. Some of you like it, some of you don't particularly like it, but that's meeting with those folks this week, and they'd like to get started on that as well. So that's basically where we are right now.
It's a mundane thing. Is Big Y ever going to?
Interesting question, Tony. I have a number of calls into them asking them that very question, and I've not gotten an answer back directly from them. The last thing that I'm told is that their engineer has applied to the state for the traffic light at that driveway, and they're undergoing right now the design for that particular light. I'll get different answers depending upon who I ask as to how long that takes, and so we'll see what happens. My understanding is it's still a project that's still alive, and we'd like it to obviously move forward sooner rather than later. So.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna dig like this spring, like start, they have to get in and then finish by October.
Yeah, that was what
That's
we
crazy.
originally were informed. That's right. So the frustrating part about that is that once the project's approved and they went through all the discussions with the skating center and so on, as you may recall some of that, there were lots of discussions about how quickly they could move forward. We thought that was going to go pretty quickly, but then it didn't. So we have as many questions about it. One thing that's unfortunate is that every single year that's not in place is about $250,000 worth of taxes that we're not receiving. So that's a frustrating thing. So right now we're probably looking at about $750,000. I'm sure that that number could be larger or smaller. I don't know, but still it's unfortunate. The other thing about that is that it has a big impact on what happens in the North End, in the North Village area. So there are several other projects that people are looking at and they'd like to get going on, but they really want to see what's going to happen with Big Y going forward first. So it's kind of the project that right now is holding up a lot of different things. So we'd like it to move forward fairly quickly. That's about it.
That's it. Approval of the meeting minutes from March 16th, 2015. Anyone want to make a motion to approve, or does anyone have any comments?
So move.
I'll second it.
Second.
I can
Minutes
find it.
approved.
Who made that motion?
We'll say Paul made the motion and Tony seconded. Since you already made yours.
No, I
tonight.
didn't want to make another one. That's enough.
All right.
Aye.
Anybody want to move to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
I'll second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.